not saying they're not important, but you don't need to study. Like, you don't need to spend that much time. Alright, if you're recording, just share it with others too. Let them. You can share it with others. Alright. I try to be fast. The shoulder joint, the shoulder girdle, you guys remember. The first one, glenohumeral joint, the head of the humerus, and what part of the scapula? You guys remember?
The acromion process.
This part?
The glenoid cavity.
Glenoid cavity, okay? The head of the scapula, the humerus fits into the glenoid cavity of the scapula to form the glenohumeral joint. So one more time, articulation between the head of the humerus and the glenoid cavity. That is ball and socket. We learned it in the beginning of the semester. Even we have it for the lab exam 1. And then the AC joint between the acromion process and the clavicle, and the sternoclavicular joint, the joint between the sternum and the clavicle. Which part of the sternum? The manubrium. So articulation between the which part of the clavicle? Medial or lateral?
Medial.
Medial of the clavicle and the manubrium of the sternum. We had like shoulder separation in the lecture exam. Alright, the order might be a little bit different even in the exam compared to the PowerPoint, or on this PowerPoint compared to our lab. But I try to just put something together. So the muscles of the upper extremity, biceps brachii, this one, it has long head and a short head, and then brachialis and brachioradialis. So these are the anterior compartment of the humerus. What is the difference between these three muscles? What are the differences? Except the origin, now we're going to talk about the insertion. Two of them, they have insertion on the same bone. One of them is in the other bone. Okay, you guys help me with this one. What is this bone? Radius. And this one? Ulna. Okay? So biceps brachii and brachioradialis, they are inserted on the radius. Brachioradialis and biceps brachii is inserted on the radial tuberosity. Okay? So which means these two muscles are affected by pronation or supination, right? That's the reason I put this picture here. You guys can see. So brachioradialis, it's originated from the lateral side of the humerus and on the radius, this muscle, when you're doing hammer curl, this one, and also biceps, it's inserted on the radial tuberosity. So that's why they're affected by pronation and supination, but brachioradialis, it's inserted on the ulna. We have a brachialis, not brachioradialis. Brachialis. We had this question also in our lab, if you guys remember. Triceps has long head, short head, medial head, and Antonius, it assists triceps. Deltoid, it has anterior, medial, and posterior compartment. So from the anterior compartment of the humerus, which one is not affected by pronation or supination? Brachialis. Alright, rotator cuffs. This is the anterior view, which means anterior view. So subscapularis, the muscle is sub means under the scapula, between the scapula and the trunk. Okay? Subscapularis, supraspinatus, we said this is the spine of the scapula. So supra, the muscle above the spine, supraspinatus and infraspinatus. So just remember the spine. So supra and infraspinatus, these are two of the rotator cuffs, and then subscapularis, and the last one is teres minor, not major. Okay? Remember the rotator cuffs. One more time: subscapularis, supraspinatus, infraspinatus, and teres minor. Okay, muscles of the radius and ulna. They are either originated from the medial epicondyle of the humerus or lateral. Okay, wrist flexors, you guys can see on your wrist. When you're flexing your wrist, you can see the muscles that originated from the medial. Medial is the one that is closer to the midline. So medial, they're originated from the medial. They are wrist flexors and wrist extensors. Even if you touch your forearm, when you're doing flexion, extension, you feel the difference. These muscle groups are originated from the lateral. Do you feel it? Lateral epicondyle and medial epicondyle. Which means, what do you need to know? From the muscles of the radius and ulna. Okay, different parts of the radius and ulna. On radius is obvious, head, neck, and radial tuberosity. Okay. But on the ulna, you can see the different parts for both. They're matched with the distal part of the humerus. Do you guys remember what is fossa? What does fossa mean? Depression, okay? The depth or depression. This is olecranon fossa, which means olecranon fits into it. So when you see ulna, which part is olecranon? Olecranon is the part that is proximal part of the ulna, and it fits into olecranon fossa. So when you see olecranon is olecranon fossa. Olecranon fossa is distal part of the humerus, but olecranon itself, or the olecranon process, is the proximal part of the ulna. And then there's radial notch, the joint between radius and ulna, coronoid process, and one more time olecranon. You guys can see here. Olecranon, proximal part of the ulna. Moving to the hip. Again, the order is not the same as the lab. I just put the slides together. It might be a little bit confusing if you guys are trying to follow the lab. Starting with the hip bone, just this part. We talk about that ilium, ischium, and pubis. This is your pelvis, and this is you. When you're sitting, which part is the sitting bone? Ischium, right? Ischium is the sitting bone, this part. We said this part is ischium, this part is pubis, and ilium. So the sitting bone or the ischium. And then for the pelvic girdle, sacrum and coccyx, which is the tailbone. Alright, the hip bone, I said it's formed by ilium, ischium one more time, and pubis. These parts together, they form a depression here, which is called, do you guys remember the depression's name? Acetabulum. So what does acetabulum do? Acetabulum forms the hip joint with the head of the femur. So head of the femur, as you guys can see here, fits into this depression.